"Sir, you have to leave the building." The security man said it again, louder this time, like he was proud to say it. His hand rested on the walkie-talkie on his chest. Two other guards stood behind him. Their eyes avoided mine, but their bodies stayed firm, like a wall. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. Not because I was scared of the guards. Not because I was weak. Because my wife had been buried 7 days ago. 7 days. Before we continue, please comment where you are watching from and subscribe so you can hear more stories like this. My chest felt heavy, as if someone had placed a stone inside it and told me to breathe normally. I lifted my head and stared at the man standing by the glass office door. My son, Ethan. He wore a dark suit. A new suit. The kind he never wore when his mother was alive, because she would have teased him and pulled his cheeks and said, "Look at you trying to be a big man." Now no one teased him. Now he was teasing life. He held a folder in his hand. He did not look sad. He did not look tired. He looked satisfied, like a boy who had finally snatched a toy from someone smaller and was waiting for applause. "Dad," he said, calm and cold, "I already told you. You're not employed here anymore." I blinked slowly, like maybe my eyes were lying. "Employed," I repeated. "In my own company." He smiled, small and sharp. "Not your company. Mom's company. And she's gone. So things have changed." The words hit me like a slap. My wife built this company with me. We started it in a small room with 2 desks and one old printer that always jammed. We worked late nights. We missed parties. We missed sleep. We built it with love, and sometimes with tears, but we built it. And now, 1 week after she was laid in the ground, my own son was throwing me out of the office like I was dirt. I heard the guards shift behind me, like they expected me to beg. I did not beg. Instead, I walked forward, one slow step at a time, until I was close enough to see the veins on Ethan's hand gripping the folder. "What is that?" I asked. He raised it slightly. "Termination papers. Your access has been removed." The board agreed. "You no longer have a role here." My mouth opened, but no sound came out at first. "The board," I said, finally. "Which board?" He leaned closer and lowered his voice, like he was sharing a secret. "The board that matters now." I wanted to laugh, but it would have sounded like crying. I stared at him, really stared, trying to find my son inside that suit. Trying to find the boy who used to run to me after school, who used to sit on my shoulders during company picnics, who used to call me his hero. But that boy was gone. Or maybe he had never been real. "Ethan," I said quietly, "your mother is not even cold in the ground." His face hardened. "Don't talk about her like that." I blinked again. "Like what?" "Like she mattered." His jaw tightened. "She mattered. That's why I'm protecting what she built." I looked at him and felt something new rise in my chest. Not sadness. Not shock. Something else. A quiet, dangerous calm. I nodded slowly. "So you're the CEO now?" "Yes," he said. "And CEOs make decisions." I breathed in, and the air felt sharp. "Then listen carefully," I said. "I will leave today." He raised his eyebrows, like he expected me to fight. "But Wednesday," I continued, "will be interesting." Ethan's smile returned, but this time it was bigger. "Is that a threat?" "No," I said. "It's a promise." He stepped back like he was bored. "Wednesday. Do whatever you want. You don't have power here anymore." I almost told him right then. I almost said it to his face. I own 75% of the company. 75. Not 10. Not 20. 75. I almost watched his face change. I almost enjoyed the thought of his eyes widening. But I did not. Because revenge is not sweet when you rush it. Revenge becomes sweeter when you let it cook, like soup on a slow fire. So I just nodded again. "Take care," I said. He shrugged. "Goodbye, Dad." And the guards walked with me, not because I needed help, but because they wanted to make sure I did not touch anything on the way out. As I reached the front doors, I looked back one last time at the bright lobby, the company logo on the wall, and the glass offices above. My wife's favorite part of the building was the big window that faced the sunrise. She would stand there sometimes, coffee in hand, and say, "One day we'll be proud of what we leave behind." I swallowed hard. "What you left behind," I whispered, "is being stolen." Outside, the air was warm, but I felt cold. I walked to my car and sat inside without turning the key. My phone buzzed. A message. From Ethan. It was short. Don't come back. I'll get a restraining order if you try. I stared at the words, and something inside me finally snapped into place. Not anger. Clarity. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand and looked up at the sky. Claire, I whispered, saying my wife's name out loud, I hope you can forgive me for what I'm about to do. Then I started the car and drove away. On the road, my mind went back, not to the guards, not to the suit, not to the cold smile. It went back to the hospital. 7 days earlier. The day my wife died. The day everything changed. Claire had been sick for months, but she hid it like she was hiding a surprise. She still came to the office. She still attended meetings. She still smiled at workers and asked about their children. She still corrected Ethan when he spoke rudely. She was strong, but she was tired. That morning, she held my hand in the hospital bed. Her skin felt thinner, like paper. Promise me something, she whispered. I leaned close. Anything. Her eyes moved toward the door. Ethan stood there with his arms crossed. He had come late. He did not greet her properly. He did not even say, Mom. He just stood like he was waiting for a will to be read. Claire squeezed my hand. Promise me, she said softly, that you will not let bitterness make you cruel. I felt my throat close. Claire. She shook her head slightly, still smiling. He is your son. He is also stubborn. He thinks power is the same thing as respect. I looked at Ethan. He didn't meet my eyes. Claire continued, you taught him strength, but maybe we forgot to teach him humility. I wanted to correct her. I wanted to say, no, we taught him. He just refused to learn. But I stayed quiet. Claire's voice grew weaker. If anything happens, keep the company safe. Protect the workers. Protect the legacy. I will, I promised. She smiled, just a little. Good. And remember, the truth always comes out. Those were her last clear words before she drifted into sleep. By evening, she was gone. After the funeral, people came to our house. They brought food. They cried. They told stories. They hugged me and said, Claire was a good woman. Ethan stayed mostly in a corner, speaking to important-looking people and handing out his business card like he was already in charge. On the third day, he spoke to me about the company for the first time. We need to move fast, he said. The market doesn't wait for grief. I stared at him. Your mother just died. He shrugged. That's exactly why we must act. People will try to take advantage. People, I said quietly, or you. He frowned. What does that mean? It means, I said, you are speaking like a stranger. He scoffed and walked away. That night, I went into Claire's study. It was a quiet room at the back of the house. She loved it because it smelled like paper and lavender. She kept important documents there. Things she never left in the office. I sat at her desk and stared at the drawer she always locked. I did not want to open it. It felt wrong, like I was touching her private thoughts. But her words came back to me. Keep the company safe. Protect the legacy. I opened the drawer. Inside was a folder, neatly labeled in her handwriting. For your eyes only. My hands shook as I opened it. The first page was a shareholder document. I scanned it slowly. My name, Claire's name, and Ethan's name, then the numbers. I swallowed. Claire had transferred shares years ago. Not to Ethan, to me. 75%. I sat back in the chair, stunned. My wife had planned ahead. She knew something, or she feared something. I flipped to the next pages. There were notes, short messages, dates. One note was underlined. If Ethan ever tries to remove you, he will do it fast. Do not argue. Let him reveal his character. Then use the law, not anger. I stared at the words until my eyes burned. My wife had seen this coming. And now, it was happening exactly as she said. For a moment, I felt sick. Not because of the shares. Because of the sadness in her planning. A mother planning for her son to betray his father. That was the kind of pain no one talked about. The next morning, I called our company lawyer. A careful man named Mr. Daramola, who spoke slowly and never wasted words. When I told him what Ethan had been saying, he went quiet for a moment. Then he asked, do you have the documents with you? Yes, I said. Then you have options, he said. Strong options. I closed my eyes. What kind? He said, the kind that will make Wednesday very interesting. That was when the plan started. Not revenge with fists. Not revenge with shouting. Revenge with a meeting. Revenge with signatures. Revenge with the truth. Over the next few days, I moved like a ghost. I did not go to the office. I did not reply to Ethan's insults. I watched quietly. And the more I watched, the more I realized something important. Ethan wasn't just trying to remove me. He was trying to destroy everything Claire cared about. On Monday, I received a call from Rose, Claire's old assistant. Her voice trembled. "Sir, I don't know if I should tell you this." "Tell me," I said. She whispered, "Ethan is making changes. Fast changes. He said we should cut staff. He said older workers are too slow. He said the company needs new blood." My grip tightened on the phone. "Who is he planning to cut?" "I heard two names," Rose said. "Mr. Ibrahim in accounting, and Mrs. Neka in shipping. They've been here since the beginning." Those two names hit me like punches. They were family. Not by blood, but by loyalty. Mr. Ibrahim used to bring Claire pepper soup when she was pregnant with Ethan. Mrs. Neka used to scold Ethan when he stole biscuits from the staff kitchen. Ethan wanted to throw them away. I spoke calmly. "Rose, keep listening. Don't argue with him. Just note everything." "Yes, sir," she said, relieved. After the call, I sat in my living room, staring at Claire's framed picture on the wall. She was smiling in the photo, her eyes bright. I stood up and walked closer. "I promised you," I said softly. "I won't let bitterness make me cruel." I paused. "But I also promised to protect what you built." On Tuesday morning, another call came. This time from a manager I trusted, a man named Ken. "Sir," he said quickly, "Ethan is calling an emergency board meeting for Wednesday." I sat up straight. "Wednesday?" "Yes," Ken said. "He's bringing in new people, investors. He's saying he wants to restructure ownership. He's saying he wants to buy out shares." I felt my heartbeat slow, not speed up. Because now I understood. Ethan did not know I owned 75%. But he was trying to change ownership anyway. He was trying to move pieces on a board he didn't understand. Ken continued, "Sir, should I stop it?" "No," I said. "Let it happen." Ken hesitated. "But sir." "Ken," I said, firm but calm, "tell me one thing. Is Ethan acting like a leader, or like a thief?" Ken was silent for a moment. Then he said quietly, "Like a thief, sir." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Good. Let him keep acting. By Wednesday, everyone will see him clearly." That evening, I dressed in a simple shirt and walked into Claire's study again. I opened the folder and checked every page. The shares, the legal notes, the instruction. Then I took out my own notebook and wrote one sentence at the top. "Life lesson: power without respect becomes a weapon." I stared at that sentence and realized it was true. Some children grow up thinking the world owes them everything. Some adults forget that kindness is also strength. And some people mistake silence for weakness. Ethan thought I was broken. He thought grief made me helpless. But grief can make you quiet. And quiet people can still be dangerous when they are pushed too far. Late that night, my phone buzzed again. A new message. Not from Ethan. From an unknown number. It was a photo. A photo of Ethan sitting in a restaurant with two men I recognized. One was a rival businessman who had tried to buy our company years ago. The other was a banker known for dirty deals. Under the photo was a short text. "Your son is selling the company. Meeting is Wednesday morning. Stop him if you can." My stomach tightened. I stared at the screen for a long time. Selling the company. Claire's company. The company we built together. The company that fed hundreds of families. I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. I walked to the window and looked out into the dark street. My reflection stared back at me in the glass. A tired man. A grieving man. But also a man who still had a duty. I turned away from the window and picked up my phone. I called Mr. Daramola, the lawyer. He answered quickly, like he had been waiting. "Sir," he said, "I was just about to call you." I swallowed. I just received a message. Ethan is planning to sell the company. There was a pause. Then Mr. Daramola said, low and serious, "Then Wednesday will not just be interesting. It will be war." I closed my eyes. Outside, the wind moved through the trees like whispers. Inside, my heart felt like a drum. I opened my eyes and spoke slowly. "Prepare everything," I said. "All documents. All proofs. All legal steps." "Yes," he said. "And sir." "What?" I asked. "The board meeting is at 9 a.m. Wednesday," he said. But Ethan has also filed an emergency complaint. My breath caught. Complaint about what? Mr. Daramola's voice dropped even lower. He is trying to declare you mentally unfit because of grief, he said. If he succeeds, you will be blocked from voting your shares. My hand went cold around the phone. Ethan wasn't just firing me. He was trying to erase me. To make me look crazy. To take everything completely. I lowered the phone slowly and stared at Claire's picture again. My voice came out like a whisper. Wednesday will decide everything. Then my phone buzzed one more time. A message from Ethan. I have evidence you can't handle the company anymore. Don't show up on Wednesday. Stay home and mourn. I stared at the message, and my calm turned sharp. Because now I knew. Wednesday would not only decide Ethan's job. Wednesday might decide my name. My dignity. My right to even speak. And I also knew something else. Ethan was not acting alone. Someone was guiding him. Someone was feeding him plans. Someone wanted the company so badly they were using my own son as a knife. I looked down at the shareholder document again. 75%. I still had power. But power alone was not enough. I needed timing. I needed truth. And I needed to walk into that meeting ready for anything. I walked to my desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out the small black box Claire gave me years ago. Inside was a flash drive. My heart tightened. I remembered her words. The truth always comes out. I held the flash drive in my hand and realized it might be the key to everything. I plugged it into my laptop. A folder opened, and the first file name made my blood run cold. Ethan Private. Then another file name appeared beneath it. Selling Plan. And then the last one, the one that made my mouth go dry. Proof of betrayal. My hand hovered over the mouse. If I opened it, everything would change. If I opened it, I might learn something about my son that I could never unlearn. I took a deep breath, and my finger moved toward the file. Then the doorbell rang. Loud. Hard. Not a friendly ring. The kind of ring that says, "Open the door now." I froze. The doorbell rang again. Then I heard voices outside. And the sound of a car door slamming. I stood up slowly, my heart pounding. I walked toward the front door. Through the peephole, I saw two men in suits. One held a folder. The other held a badge. My stomach twisted. I opened the door just a little. "Mr. Carter?" the man with the badge asked. "Yes," I said carefully. He raised the badge. "We are here regarding a legal order. You have been requested to attend an evaluation tomorrow morning." My throat tightened. Evaluation. The man with the folder stepped forward and said, flat and cold, "Your son filed it. He says you are not stable enough to make decisions." I felt my legs go weak for a second, but I held myself up. Then the man added the sentence that turned the night into fire. "And sir, there is also a temporary restriction. You are not allowed to step into the company premises until this is resolved." I stared at them, stunned. They handed me the papers. And as I looked down at the signature at the bottom, I saw Ethan's name. Clear. Bold. Like he was proud. I looked up slowly. The men turned to leave, already done with me. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because now Ethan had forced my hand. And now Wednesday was no longer a choice. It was a battlefield. And the first shot had already been fired. I closed the door, gripped the papers until my fingers hurt, and turned back to my laptop. The file titled, "Proof of Betrayal," stared at me from the screen like a warning. I swallowed hard and clicked it, and the first thing that appeared made me whisper one word in shock: "No." I stared at the screen. The file opened slowly, like it was taking its time to hurt me. At the top was a video. Under it were photos. Under the photos were messages. And in the corner of the screen, the date stamped on everything was clear. 3 months ago. Not after my wife died. Not last week. 3 months ago, while Claire was still alive and still fighting to stay strong. My throat went dry. I clicked the video. Ethan's voice came out first. "I'm tired of waiting," he said. My son's voice. The voice I used to hear when he was little and asking me for ice cream. Now it sounded like a stranger wearing my child's mouth. Another voice answered him. A man's voice, smooth like oil. "You'll have the company soon," the man said. "But you have to do it properly. The old man won't step aside on his own." Old man. That was me. Then Ethan laughed. A short laugh. A laugh with no love inside it. "He will step aside," Ethan said. "Or I'll make him." The video angle changed slightly, like it was recorded from inside a bag or behind a plant. I could not see Ethan's full face, but I could see his hands. And I could see the other man clearly. My stomach tightened. I knew him. Victor Hensley. Our rival. The same man who tried to buy our company years ago and failed. The same man who once told Claire, "Your husband is too soft. That is why you will lose one day." Claire never feared him. She just smiled and said, "We will lose nothing. We built this with clean hands." Now Victor was sitting across from my son. Victor leaned forward in the video and tapped the table. "Your mother is sick," Victor said calmly. "She won't last. When she's gone, it becomes easier." My heart stopped for a second. Ethan did not argue. He did not say, "Don't talk about my mom like that." He did not stand up and walk away. Instead, he said something that made my hands go cold. "I know." 2 words. I know. He knew she was dying. And he was already planning what to do after. Victor continued, "You'll take the CEO seat. You'll remove your father. Then we'll do the sale." Quick and quiet. Ethan asked, "What about my shares?" Victor smiled. "You'll be comfortable. You'll get your reward." Ethan leaned back and said, "Good. I want him to feel it." "Feel what?" Victor asked. Ethan's voice became sharp. "The pain," Ethan said. "I want him to feel how small he made me feel." I blinked fast. Small. When did I make him feel small? I gave him everything I had. I stayed up nights. I paid for his school. I built a company so he could have a future. But some people do not see love as love. They see love as control. And some children grow into adults who believe their parents are enemies. The video ended. My living room felt too quiet after that, like even the walls were shocked. I clicked the photos next. There were pictures of documents. Some looked like bank papers. Some looked like company papers. Then I saw one image that made me lean closer to the screen. A scanned letter. The header read, "Board Emergency Resolution." My eyes moved down to the signatures. There was a signature that looked like mine. But it was not mine. Not even close. It was a copy. A fake. My chest tightened. They had been planning to use my name like a stamp. To make it look like I agreed to things I would never agree to. I scrolled again. More messages. Text messages. Emails. And then one line stood out in bold, like it was screaming. "After the funeral, we filed a mental case immediately." I swallowed hard. That is what they did. Not because they believed I was sick. Because they wanted to shut my mouth. A slow anger rose inside me, but I forced myself to breathe. If I let anger lead me, I would make mistakes. And mistakes are expensive when the enemy wears a suit and smiles on camera. I closed the laptop halfway and stood up. I walked to Claire's picture. Her eyes in the photo looked calm, like she knew something I did not know until now. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. Then I remembered. She did tell me. Just not with words. She left the shares. She left the notes. She left the flash drive. She did not want me to fight with fists. She wanted me to fight with truth. My phone buzzed. It was Rose. I answered quickly. "Rose." Her voice shook. "Sir, something is happening." "What?" I asked. "Ethan is at the office right now," she said. "He brought Victor Hensley." My stomach turned. "He brought him into the building?" I asked. "Yes," she whispered. "In the back entrance. Like he didn't want people to see." My fingers tightened around the phone. "Rose, listen to me," I said. "Do not let them know you called me." "I won't," she promised. "What are they doing?" I asked. Rose took a breath. "They went into your wife's old office. They locked the door. Then Ethan called security and told them to prepare a statement." "A statement," I repeated. Rose's voice became smaller. "He's telling people you stole money. He's saying the company will announce it on Wednesday to explain why you were removed." My head spun. Stealing. Me. I felt the room tilt for a second, and I had to sit down. Claire's favorite vase was on the table beside me. It held dry flowers from the funeral. The flowers looked like they had given up. I refused to give up. "Rose," I said, "steady now, I need one thing from you." "Yes, sir. I need you to get proof," I said. "Anything. A photo of Victor in the office. An email. A voice note. Anything." Rose hesitated. "Sir, if they catch me." "They won't," I said. "Be careful. But the truth needs witnesses." Rose went quiet, then said, "Okay. I'll try." When I hung up, I called my lawyer again. Mr. Daramola answered on the first ring. Sir, he said, I was preparing the court papers. I have evidence, I said. Real evidence. Video. Messages. Documents. He inhaled sharply. Good. We will use it. Not later, I said. We use it on Wednesday. Yes, he said. But we have a problem. I stared at the wall. What problem? The restriction order, he said. Ethan filed it fast. It blocks you from the premises. I clenched my jaw. So he thinks I won't show up. Mr. Daramola's voice was calm. He wants you absent. Because if you are absent, he controls the room. I leaned forward. So how do we enter the room? He paused, then said, we don't break in. We walk in with authority. Meaning? I asked. Meaning, he said, we request a court-backed right to attend as majority shareholder. If we get it, the restriction collapses. My heart beat faster. Can we get it by Wednesday? We can try, he said. But it depends on timing. I stared at the flash drive on the table. Timing. Claire's note came back to me. Use the law, not anger. I nodded to myself. Start now, I said. Tonight. Yes, he said. I'll file the emergency motion. After the call, I sat still for a while. This is a good moment for you watching this story to ask yourself something. If someone you love betrays you, what do you do? Do you shout? Do you cry? Or do you stay calm and choose the right moment? Because in real life, the loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. Sometimes the strongest person is the one who keeps quiet until the truth is heavy enough to crush lies. The next morning was Tuesday. I woke up early, but I did not feel rested. Grief sat on my chest like a heavy blanket. I walked into the kitchen and made tea the way Claire liked it. Then I stopped. Because she was not here to drink it. The cup sat on the table like a sad joke. I almost pushed it away, but I didn't. I held the warm cup with both hands and said softly, I miss you. Then I stood up and got to work. I called Ken again. Ken, I said. Sir, he answered quickly, I heard about the accusation. So it has started, I said. Yes, he said. Ethan is telling managers you stole funds. People are confused. Some believe him, some don't. Good, I said. Confusion is the beginning of truth. Because lies are simple, but truth makes people ask questions. Ken went quiet. Sir, what do you need? I need you to do something dangerous, I said. I'm listening, Ken replied. On Wednesday, I want the staff to be present, I said. Not hidden. Not locked away. I want them to see what happens. Ken hesitated. Ethan will block it. He will try, I said. But you can invite them as observers. Call it a company transparency meeting. Ken sighed. Sir, if Ethan finds out I'm helping you, then he will show his real face faster, I said. Ken, listen. Evil hates light. It prefers darkness. Ken was silent, then he said, I'll do it. Thank you, I said. And Ken, yes. Whatever happens, I said, keep your hands clean. We win with truth. Yes, sir, Ken answered. Later that day, the doorbell rang again. This time, it was not men with badges. It was my sister-in-law, Miriam. Claire's older sister. She walked in wearing black, her face tight with pain. She hugged me, and for a moment, I felt the grief break through again. She's gone, Miriam whispered. She's really gone. I nodded, and my eyes burned. Miriam pulled back and looked at me sharply. Ethan visited me, she said. My heart sank. What did he say? Miriam's mouth twisted. He asked me for your wife's private safe key. I froze. Claire had a safe. Only 2 people knew it existed. Me and Claire. How did Ethan even know about it? I asked. Miriam shook her head. I don't know. But he said, Aunt Miriam, Dad is unstable. I need to secure Mom's documents before he destroys them. My chest tightened. He used her name, I muttered. Miriam stepped closer. I told him no. Then he smiled and said something that scared me. What? I asked. Miriam swallowed. He said, don't worry. By Wednesday, the company won't even belong to Dad anymore. My fingers curled into fists. So it was true. He planned to take everything. Miriam watched my face and lowered her voice. Listen to me, she said. Claire loved Ethan, but she did not trust what he was becoming. That is why she moved the shares. I stared at her. You knew. Miriam nodded sadly. She told me weeks ago. She cried, then. She said she feared Ethan's friends. She feared the people whispering in his ear. Victor. The banker. The dirty deal. Miriam took my hand. Do not fight like Ethan, she said. Fight like Claire. I nodded slowly. I will. Miriam squeezed my hand tighter. And remember your life lesson. A person who rushes for power will often lose it faster. After Miriam left, I sat down and opened the laptop again. I copied the files to a second flash drive. I printed key documents. I wrote down dates. Every lie needs a timeline. And every truth needs proof. That evening, Rose sent me a message. It was a photo. Victor Hensley, inside the building, walking into Claire's old office. Then another photo. Ethan handing Victor a folder. Then one more. A screenshot of an email. Subject line, sale agreement draft. I stared at it until my eyes hurt. Then I replied to Rose. Excellent. Be careful. Delete these from your phone. I will protect you. Rose replied quickly. Sir, something else. Ethan is angry. He said if you try anything, he will have you arrested. I felt my jaw tighten. He wanted fear to control me. But fear is useful too. Fear tells you what your enemy is planning. I wrote back. Thank you. Stay quiet. Wednesday is near. That night, my lawyer called. Sir, he said, the court has scheduled an emergency hearing early Wednesday morning. I sat up straight. Good. He continued, but Ethan's team is also filing something. Of course they are, I said. They want the judge to confirm you are unfit, he said. They are bringing a doctor. My stomach turned. A doctor who has never met me, I said. Yes, he said. But they will lie confidently. I exhaled slowly. Then we will speak calmly, I said. Truth does not need to shout. My lawyer paused. Sir, do you have anything else? I looked at the flash drive. Yes, I said quietly. I have proof Ethan planned this before Claire died. My lawyer went silent for a long moment. Then he said, that changes everything. It was late when I finally lay down. Sleep would not come. My mind kept moving like a restless animal. I kept seeing Ethan's face. Not the face of a child. The face of a man who decided his father was an obstacle. And it made me think of you watching. Let me ask you again. Have you ever seen someone change fast when they taste power? It happens in schools. It happens in families. It happens in companies. Power is like a mirror. It does not change you. It shows what was always inside you. On Wednesday morning, the sun rose bright, like it did not care about my pain. I dressed in a simple dark suit. Not flashy. Not expensive. Clean. Respectful. I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. A tired face. A grieving face. But also a face that refused to be erased. I took the flash drive, the documents, and my wife's note. Then I stepped outside. A black car waited at the gate. Two men stood beside it. One opened the door politely. Mr. Carter, he said, we are here to take you to the evaluation. My chest tightened. So Ethan did not just plan a meeting. He planned to trap me before I could reach the court hearing. I looked at the men. They were not smiling. They were not friendly. They were working. I held my briefcase tighter. Evaluation? I asked calmly. Yes, sir, the man said. We have an order. I nodded slowly. May I see it? I asked. He lifted a paper. I scanned it quickly. It looked official. But something felt wrong. Then I noticed the bottom. A signature. Not a judge's full signature. Just initials. My lawyer warned me about this. Fake orders. Fast papers. Fear tactics. I looked up. Who sent you? I asked. The man's eyes narrowed slightly. Sir, please cooperate. In that moment, I understood. This was not just legal pressure. This was an attempt to remove me physically. To keep me away from the courtroom. To keep me away from the board meeting. To silence me. I took one slow step back. Gentlemen, I said, I will not go anywhere with you. The second man moved closer. Sir, he said, do not make this difficult. My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady. I am calling my lawyer, I said. I reached for my phone. The first man lunged forward and grabbed my wrist. Pain shot up my arm. My briefcase fell to the ground, and the documents slid out like spilled secrets. The man hissed, get him in the car. My blood turned cold. This was it. This was the extreme moment. Not a rumor. Not a threat. A real attempt to take me. I twisted hard and yanked my arm back, but his grip was strong. The second man grabbed my shoulder. I stumbled toward the car door. And as they pushed me closer, I saw something that made my heart drop even deeper. Across the street, parked quietly like a shadow, was Ethan's car. And behind the tinted window, I saw his face. Watching. Not stopping them. Watching like this was part of the plan. The car door opened. The men pushed me forward. And I realized, with sudden clarity, that if I got inside that car, Wednesday would be decided without me. I dug my heels into the ground. The gravel scraped under my shoes, making a sharp sound that felt louder than it should. One of the men cursed under his breath. "Sir, stop resisting," he said. Resisting. Like I was a criminal. Like I had done something wrong. Across the street, Ethan's car engine was still running. He did not step out. He did not shout for them to stop. He just sat there, watching, his face calm behind the dark glass. That hurt more than the man's grip on my arm. "Ethan," I shouted. My voice cracked the morning air. For a second, I thought he might open the door. I thought he might finally look ashamed. He didn't. Instead, his car slowly pulled away. Just like that, he left. Something inside me went quiet. Not broken. Quiet. The man holding my arm tightened his grip. "Enough," he snapped. "Get in." "No," I said firmly. I twisted my arm hard and stepped sideways. My shoe caught the edge of the briefcase on the ground, and I nearly fell. Papers flew everywhere, landing on the driveway like white birds with broken wings. The second man bent down to grab me again. Before he could, a voice shouted from behind us. "Hey, what is going on here?" We all froze. I turned my head. Mrs. Alvarez, my neighbor, was standing at her gate in her night robe. She was holding her phone up, the camera pointed straight at us. Her eyes were wide. "What are you doing to him?" she demanded. "That's Mr. Carter. His wife just died." The men hesitated. The one holding my arm loosened his grip slightly. "Ma'am, this is official business," he said. "Official business," she repeated loudly. "It looks like kidnapping to me. And I'm recording." That word changed everything. Recording. The man cursed again. "Sir," he said quietly to me now, "let's do this calmly." I straightened my jacket and pulled my arm free. "I am calm," I said. "You are the ones who are not." Mrs. Alvarez stepped closer, still filming. "If you touch him again, I'm calling the police." The men looked at each other. This was not going the way they planned. Finally, the one with the papers sighed and took a step back. "Fine," he said. "We'll report that you refused." I nodded. "Do that." They climbed into the black car and drove off, fast. The street fell silent. My legs felt weak, but I stayed standing. Mrs. Alvarez rushed over. "Are you okay?" I nodded slowly. "Thank you." She lowered her phone. "Who were those men?" I picked up my briefcase and gathered the scattered papers. "They were sent to stop me from telling the truth," I said. Her eyes softened. "I'm glad I came outside." "So am I said honestly. When she went back inside, I stood alone in the driveway for a moment. My hands were shaking now. That was close. Too close. If Mrs. Alvarez had not stepped out, I would have been in that car. And if I had been in that car, Wednesday would already be lost. I took a deep breath and called my lawyer. He answered immediately. "They tried to take me," I said. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "Are you safe?" "Yes," I said. "But they used a fake order." "That confirms it," he said. "They are desperate." "I saw Ethan," I said quietly. He was watching. The lawyer paused. "I'm sorry." "I'm not," I said. "Not anymore. Get me to the court. Now." A different car arrived 20 minutes later. This time, the driver showed real identification. As we drove, I looked out the window and thought about something important. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. I had been slow to accept it. But now, I saw clearly. At the courthouse, everything moved fast. Papers were checked. Names were called. My lawyer spoke with calm confidence. Ethan's lawyer arrived too. A younger man. Sharp suit. Sharp smile. Ethan himself did not come. That told me everything. The judge listened. My lawyer explained the fake order, the attempted removal, the ownership documents. Then he placed the flash drive on the table. "This contains evidence," he said, "that the actions taken against my client were planned months ago, before his wife's death." The judge's eyes narrowed. Ethan's lawyer shifted in his seat. "Your Honor," he Said quickly, this is about concern for a grieving man's mental health. The judge raised a hand. We will decide concern after we decide facts. The flash drive was accepted. The judge looked at me. Mr. Carter, he said, until further review, you are permitted to attend any board meeting related to this company. My chest lifted. Thank you, I said. But, the judge continued, any disruption will not be tolerated. I understand, I said. The hammer came down. Just like that, the door Ethan tried to lock was open again. As we left the courtroom, my lawyer leaned toward me. The board meeting is in 1 hour, he said. We have just enough time. As we drove toward the company building, my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. You think you've won. This isn't over. I stared at the screen. Then I typed back only 3 words. I'm coming. We arrived at the building. The same glass doors. The same logo. But this time, I did not feel small. People stared as I walked in. Whispers followed me like shadows. Isn't that him? I thought he was fired. Why is he here? Security stepped forward, nervous. Sir, you're not allowed. I held up the court document. Their eyes widened. They stepped aside. Inside the boardroom, the table was full. Board members, investors, staff observers standing quietly at the back. At the head of the table sat Ethan. He looked up when I entered. For the first time in days, his face changed. Not anger. Not pride. Fear. The room went silent. I walked slowly to an empty chair and sat down. Ethan cleared his throat. This meeting is already in progress. So am I said calmly. Some board members shifted uncomfortably. Ethan forced a smile. As acting CEO, Acting, I repeated softly. That one word cut deeper than shouting. Ethan's jaw tightened. Victor Hensley sat beside him. Victor leaned back, arms crossed, eyes cold. I looked directly at him. Good morning, Victor, I said. He smiled thinly. Didn't expect to see you. Surprises are common today, I replied. Ethan banged his hand lightly on the table. Let's proceed. We are here to address serious misconduct. He turned toward the board. My father, he said, pointing at me, has been unstable and has misused company funds. Murmurs filled the room. I did not speak. Not yet. Ethan continued, growing confident. To protect the company, I propose we finalize the sale agreement today. Victor slid a folder onto the table. My heart stayed calm. This was the moment Claire warned me about. The rush, the grab, the lie spoken loudly so it feels true. Ethan looked at me. This is your last chance, he said. Leave quietly. I slowly reached into my briefcase. I pulled out a single document. Then another. Then another. I placed them on the table, one by one. What are those? Ethan asked sharply. I looked around the room. At the right time, I said, the truth speaks for itself. I turned to the board. Before any sale, I said, you should know who actually owns this company. The room leaned in. Ethan's smile faded. I slid the final document forward. 75%, I said calmly. That is my ownership. The room exploded into noise. Board members stood up. Victor's face went pale. Ethan shot to his feet. That's a lie, he shouted. I met his eyes. It's documented, I said. And legally binding. Ethan slammed his hands on the table. You can't do this, he yelled. I'm the CEO. I stood slowly. And I said, am the majority owner. Silence crashed down hard. Ethan's breathing became fast and uneven. Victor leaned toward him and whispered something urgently. I did not hear it. But I saw Ethan's eyes flick toward the exit. Toward escape. That was when a staff member at the back spoke up. Sir, she said, voice shaking, there's something else. It was Rose. She stepped forward, holding her phone. My name is Rose, she said. And I have proof of what Mr. Ethan and Mr. Victor planned. Ethan spun toward her. Sit down. She didn't. She raised the phone. And there's more, she added. The screen lit up. A video paused at the first frame. Ethan's voice frozen on the screen. The room held its breath. I looked at my son. For the first time, he looked small. And I knew. The next few minutes would destroy everything he thought he controlled. Rose pressed play. Ethan's voice filled the room. Clear, calm, cruel. I'm tired of waiting, the voice said. Every head in the room turned toward the screen. Victor shifted in his chair. Ethan froze. No one spoke. No one breathed. The video continued. You'll take the CEO's seat, Victor's voice said from the speakers. You'll remove your father. Then we sell. Someone gasped. A board member covered her mouth. Ethan shouted, this is fake. But his voice sounded weak now, like a lie that had lost its strength. The video played on. I want him to feel it, Ethan's voice said. The pain. The room went completely silent. Not a good silence. A heavy one. The kind that presses on your chest. Rose stopped the video. Her hands were shaking, but she stood tall. I have messages too, she said. Emails. Photos. Dates. She turned the phone so the board could see. Victor stood up fast. This is a legal recording. I looked at him calmly. So is fraud. Victor's face turned red. This meeting is over. He grabbed his folder and moved toward the door. Before he could reach it, one of the board members spoke sharply. Sit down, Victor. He stopped. Slowly, he turned back. Another board member stood up. An older man with gray hair. I knew Claire, he said. She trusted you, Ben. And she warned us about rushing decisions. He looked directly at Ethan. She never warned us about you, he added quietly. That hurts. Ethan's face twisted. You're all turning on me. He shouted. After everything I've done for this company. I finally spoke. You mean everything you tried to take, I said. He pointed at me, his hand shaking. You pushed me. He yelled. You never listened to me. You always chose Mom's way. The room watched us now. Father and son. Power and pride. I took a slow breath. I chose honesty, I said. Your mother chose integrity. You chose speed and anger. Ethan laughed, sharp and broken. Integrity doesn't win wars. I looked around the room. Look closely, I said. This is what winning looks like. The board members whispered among themselves. One stood and spoke clearly. As of now, we suspend all sale discussions. Victor slammed his hand on the table. You can't do that. Yes, we can, another board member said. And we will. Ethan looked from face to face. No, he said softly now. No, no, no. He turned to me. You did this, he said. You planned this. I shook my head. No, I said. You planned this. I just stopped it. The chairperson stood. This meeting is adjourned, she said. But before we leave, there is one more matter. She looked directly at Ethan. Due to evidence of misconduct, she said, your position as CEO is under review, effective immediately. The words hit like thunder. Ethan staggered back. You can't, he whispered. I can, the chairperson replied. And I just did. Ethan's eyes filled with rage. Then something else. Fear. Pure fear. Victor leaned toward him and whispered urgently. Ethan nodded quickly. Too quickly. Then he did something that made the room tense. He reached into his jacket. Everyone needs to calm down, he said. My heart jumped. Board members stepped back. Security moved closer. Ethan pulled out his phone. He held it up. One call, he said loudly, and everything changes. I stared at him. What are you doing? I asked. His eyes were wild now. You think you've won, he said. But you don't know everything. He turned the phone so I could see the screen. It was a message thread. With one line highlighted. Transfer completed. My blood went cold. Transfer of what? I asked quietly. Ethan smiled. Not a proud smile. A desperate one. While you were busy talking, he said, I moved the money. The room exploded into shouting. What money? Company funds. How much? Victor backed toward the door again. Security blocked him. The chairperson slammed her hand on the table. Ethan, she said sharply, what did you transfer? Ethan's eyes locked onto mine. All of it, he said. My chest tightened. All operating funds, he continued. Into a private holding account. The board gasped. Someone shouted, that's theft. Ethan laughed again, shaking. You can't touch me, he said. The money is gone. I felt the room spin for a moment. Not because of fear, because of the speed of his fall. This was no longer just betrayal. This was a crime. I looked at him steadily. You just destroyed yourself, I said. Ethan shook his head. No, I freed myself. Victor suddenly shouted, you idiot. Ethan turned on him. You said this would work. Victor's face went white. The room erupted into chaos. People shouting. Phones ringing. Security calling upstairs. I stood still. Very still. Because I remembered something Claire once said. People who steal in a hurry always leave footprints. I turned to the chairperson. Call the authorities, I said calmly. And freeze all related accounts. Ethan laughed loudly. Too late. Then the doors burst open. 2 uniformed officers walked in, followed by my lawyer. The room went silent again. My lawyer spoke clearly. The court has issued an emergency freeze on all company-linked transfers, he said. Effective 10 minutes ago. Ethan's smile disappeared. What? He whispered. My lawyer continued, the funds are locked. The receiving account is flagged. Ethan's phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor. Victor took a step back. Then another. Then he ran. Security tackled him near the door. The officers moved fast. One walked straight toward Ethan. Sir, the officer said, we need you to come with us. Ethan backed away. No, he said. Dad, tell them to stop. He looked at me. For the first time, he looked like my son again. Scared, small, lost. My heart hurt, but I did not move. This is the result of your choices, I said quietly. The officer reached for his arm. Ethan pulled away suddenly and shouted, I won't go alone. He turned and pointed at me. He did this. He planned everything. The officer looked at me. Then back at Ethan. Sir, the officer said firmly, you are under arrest for fraud and attempted theft. The room froze. Ethan's knees buckled. As the officer moved to handcuff him, Ethan screamed. Not in anger. In panic. Dad, he cried. Please. That sound cut through me like a knife. The handcuffs clicked shut. Metal on skin. Final. Ethan was led toward the door. At the threshold, he twisted around and shouted one last thing. You think this is over? His eyes burned into mine. I still have something you don't know. The doors slammed shut behind him. The room was silent. Too silent. Everyone looked at me. And in that silence, my phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. Only one line. You won today. But you haven't buried the truth yet. My heart sank. Because I knew. Whatever Ethan meant. The worst was not over yet. The room stayed silent for a long time after Ethan was taken away. No one knew what to say. I sat down slowly, like my body suddenly remembered how tired it was. My hands rested on the table. They were steady now. The chairperson cleared her throat. Mr. Carter, she said gently, we are deeply sorry. I nodded. So am I. She continued, effective immediately, Ethan is removed from all roles. You were reinstated as chairman and acting CEO. Some people clapped softly. Others looked down. I raised my hand. Please, I said. No applause. This was not a victory that needed noise. This was a lesson that needed silence. The police finished their work and left. Victor was taken away too, shouting promises and threats that no one listened to anymore. When the room finally emptied, only a few people stayed behind. Rose, Ken, my lawyer, and me. I looked at Rose. You were brave, I said. Her eyes filled with tears. I was scared. So was I replied. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what is right even when fear is loud. She smiled weakly. Ken stepped forward. Sir, what happens now? I looked around the room. This company survives, I said. But it survives clean. Later that day, I went home alone. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked into Claire's study and sat at her desk one last time. I placed the flash drive back into the black box and closed it. I did it your way, I whispered. Not with anger. With truth. That night, I could not sleep. Not because of fear. Because of memory. I kept seeing Ethan as a little boy, running toward me with scraped knees and big dreams. Somewhere along the way, he stopped running toward people and started running toward power. The next morning, I visited him. The holding room was cold. He looked smaller behind the glass. Older. Broken. When he saw me, his face changed. I didn't think you'd come, he said quietly. I didn't think you'd push me this far, I replied. He looked down. I wanted to matter, he said. I wanted control. You already mattered, I said. You confused control with worth. Tears rolled down his face. I ruined everything, he whispered. Yes, I said honestly. But that does not mean everything is ruined forever. He looked up, surprised. I won't protect you from consequences, I continued. You will face them, but I won't stop being your father. He covered his face and cried. I stood up. At the door, I paused. Ethan, I said, your mother believed the truth always comes out. He nodded slowly. And it did, he whispered. Months later, the company was stable again. Workers kept their jobs. The sale was cancelled. The stolen money was recovered. I stepped down from daily leadership and appointed a board-led structure, so no single person could ever take everything again. On the wall of the lobby, I placed a small plaque. It read, "Power without integrity destroys itself." People stopped to read it every day. And if you are listening to this story, remember this life lesson. Never rush for power at the cost of character. Never mistake silence for weakness. And never forget that the truth may move slowly, but it always arrives on time. Wednesday decided everything. But honesty decided the ending.